Hi everyone, I'm Nathan with the eBookReader.com. For this video, I'm going to give you guys a review of the Onyx Boox T68. So this is a new 6.8 inch ebook reader with a Android operating system, and it can install a bunch of various Android apps. So for this video review, I'm going to focus on a general view of the device itself. I'm going to talk about the hardware, and I'm also going to talk about the pre-installed apps it comes with, and then I'll be doing some separate reviews comparing it to like the Kindle Paperwhite and the Kobo Aura, and I'll be doing separate reviews for each individual reading app. Otherwise this review would end up being like half an hour long. So I'll be doing separate reviews for like the Kindle app, the Kobo app, just to show you how some of this other stuff works. For this review, I just want to go ahead and talk about the pre-installed apps and how the device works and the hardware. So let's go ahead and talk about the hardware first. So this has a 6.8 inch screen like I mentioned, so it's got the higher resolution. It's the same screen as the Kobo Aura. It's the 1440 by 1080 e-ink screen, so that's 265 pixels per inch, and the screen does look really good, and it's also got a front light incorporated into it, and you've got the adjustable light settings. It can also be turned on and off. You can also turn it on and off by holding this button right here. So there's this button right here to make selections, and there's like this navigation wheel to move like the cursor on the screen usually. You can use it for turning pages in certain apps. Most of the reading apps like Kindle and stuff, you can use this thing to turn pages, but it also has hardware page turn buttons up here on the side. You can also use with the pre-installed apps, the Onyx apps that work for paging forward. So a lot of the Android apps aren't set up for these being page buttons, so it does work on some of the apps. But and then over here we've got, since it runs Android, we've got the typical back and menu buttons. There really isn't a home button. I kind of thought this would be a home button, but this is basically your selector. And then we've got the on-screen home button right up here for most of the time you'll have that on-screen home button. So like if you're in one of these reading apps though, you usually have to hit the back button to exit and can go back to the previous view where you can go to the home screen. So like I said, this runs Android. It runs Android 4.0.4. It comes with Google Play. You can install apps. Since it is an e-ink e-reader, the way apps work, it just depends on each app if it's going to work well on this device or not with the screen refresh. So I showed you the buttons. A couple other things hardware wise. On the bottom down here we've got a 3.5mm headphone jack. There's a micro SD card slot, a USB port, power button, and reset port. Then on the back of the device it's just smooth. It has a sort of soft texture to it. It does have a nice feel. So as far as other hardware, we've got 1 GHz Cortex processor. It's got 512 megabytes of RAM. The screen, like I said, was 6.8 inches. It does have Bluetooth. I was able to connect Bluetooth headphones to this, and Pandora works really well for streaming in the background. I also tried like the audiobook feature on Kindle app and stuff. So the headphones work that way. With the Bluetooth, you've also got the headphone jack. There is no speaker. The device also has text-to-speech for most of these reading apps. So I'll go ahead and show you how these reading apps work now and talk about the different pre-installed apps. So the thing is, this thing comes with a whole bunch of reading apps pre-installed. If you hold down on a book right here, we'll get all the different options. So I installed Audico just to see how it worked, but other than that, all these ones are pre-installed. You got All Reader, FB Reader, Onyx Reader, and Cool Reader. So they all have some different sort of layouts and different settings. I want to go ahead and show you Onyx Reader first. So I'll talk about all the pre-installed apps on this review, and like I said, I'll do some additional reviews like on Kindle app and stuff like that. Otherwise this review would get way too long. So this is a look at the Onyx Reader app. You can use this wheel down here to increase and decrease text size by pushing up and down. You can also use the side buttons to turn pages, so if you're holding it from the bottom. And also you can use the page turn buttons up here. So yeah, that works with all the pre-installed apps. Okay, so if you hit the menu button or tap in the center of the screen, you can bring up the settings option. So we've got quite a bit of settings to talk about in here. We can go in and customize a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't really like that display footer, like I said, so I usually get rid of it. You can go in here, set the dictionary as well. We can set the page margins. There's a lot more settings here on the side. If we tap it on the center of the screen, see, it looks just a lot better without that bar down there. I kind of like it better. We got the brightness adjuster in here. You can set paging. Let's go ahead and refresh. So you can set the screen refresh every 3, 5, 7, 9 pages. So it varies with the different apps. Some other apps have different options. That's just how it sets in here. So when you're paging forward, it'll just do the partial page refresh mostly. And then like every 5th page, it'll do the full page refresh. This app actually does it strangely where it kind of does like a double refresh. As you see right there, it kind of does it all black and then it does it again. Go ahead and show you right here. Alright, so as far as the other options in here, like I said, we've got text to speech. We've also got the dictionary. It uses Quick Dick for the dictionary. It'll automatically go to a word that you highlight, or if you just open it, it'll open up the keyboard right here and you can go ahead and just type a search. Okay, so let's back on out of here. We just hit the back button to get on out of here. Let's go ahead and show you some of the other setting options here. So if we hit this selector right here, we got the text to speech option. We've got the search option. Not bad. Let's go ahead and pop the menu back up again. You can hit the menu button or hit in the center of the screen. So we got the rotation. I'm not going to mess with the rotation because I've had some issues with it. Like I'll hit it and then it acts crazy or the whole screen goes black. So the device does act a little buggy at times, and activating the rotation in a different view does seem to be one of the things that makes it go haywire. So I'm not going to touch that right now. So we got the different options for the notes and the table of contents in here. It'll pop up this page right here where you can switch between bookmarks, your annotations, so you can add highlights and whatnot, and the table of contents you can jump to from right here. Okay, so the font, you can go ahead and increase the font in here if you don't want to use the power wheel. It's also got this cool setting for bold that makes things really nice and dark. See, I had it on right now already, so it does considerably make the text darker. I do like that setting enabled most of the time, and you can go in and set different fonts as well. So I haven't figured out a way to add new fonts yet. I'm not entirely sure if it's possible or not. There isn't a specific font folder that I found, so I don't know. I'll have to experiment a little bit more with that. But we do have some different fonts you can jump through, add to your device right here. So alright, let me go ahead and talk about some of the on-screen stuff. Like I said, if you hold down on a word, you do get the highlight options, the annotation options, the dictionary, and the copy and paste. So you can go ahead and add some text notes to a item if you wanted to. Nodes. So that's pretty much it as far as the settings on this particular app. So depends on the various apps. Like I said, let me go ahead and go back to the home screen. So it's kind of weird with these ebook apps at first, because it's kind of, you don't know exactly how to exit them, because most everything else has the home button up here, but these apps don't show that bar at all. So you just hit the back button to exit out of here. And of course you can actually be in your library as well, so if you were in there, then it will start from there. Okay, so this is a look at the home screen and how everything lays out. You got your recent reading here. Actually, you can customize this to recently added too up in the settings menu. I'll show that in a moment. We've also got links to your library view right here. There's this shop link, which doesn't really apply to us in the US here because it's sort of this weird bookstore. Doesn't have really any English books that I could find. We've got the storage option right here, which is sort of like a folder navigation type of app. You can go in and browse everything that's on your device in the various folders. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about this device. First off, you notice right now I'm hitting this. It's not responding. I don't know why. But a lot of times this touchscreen doesn't seem to react the first time you touch it. I've had more problems with it than any other device as far as e-readers or tablets go. I often have to press a selection twice to get it to react, but I don't know, I'm kind of getting used to it. It's just sort of like double tapping instead of single pressing. But we've got this apps section over here where you can load in these different apps. Like I said, it comes with Google Play, so you can install apps. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later. If we scroll over here, we've got the option for the settings in the web browser. So let me go ahead and open up the settings menu. So we've got some different options on here. You can go ahead and change the power management, like when you want the device to turn on and off and enter sleep mode. I actually have it set so that it doesn't turn on and off. It just stays in sleep, so it's faster. We've got some other options here. You can check your storage. So it's got the, as you can tell, it's a different type of settings menu than like typical Android. So it doesn't have like all the usual Android settings in here. but we've got quite a bit of options here. So you can go into the user preferences right here and customize the home screen layout. You can change if you want to have recently added or recently shown on the home screen. The problem with the recently added is I loaded in this Kobo app, right? And Kobo does this weird thing where they like change the books to HTML. So upon boot up, the device scans your internal memory and it'll add all the books you've got on there automatically into the library app and like on your home screen right here. So what it did is it added all these crazy files that don't you know, they don't work normally because they are just HTML files from Kobo's app. It added those into there because one of the apps supports that. So it's kind of really annoying that it does that. I'm gonna actually uninstall that app and get rid of all those pretty soon, but I wanted to do a review of it first. So let's go ahead and just put that back to how it was. See, it scans on the books folder. You can set right here with the check mark if you only want it to scan SD, for instance. So some of the other options in here, we got different languages, of course. We've got text-to-speech options because the reading apps, they have text-to-speech. You can set different engines in here, different speech rates. It's not going to sound on here because there is no external speaker like I said on the device. You need to use headphones. I was using the Bluetooth headphones earlier and they were working really well. You can go ahead and set that up in wireless. There's a few other things in here. So it does have DRM support for Adobe DRM. You can go in here for the Onyx Reader app and set up your DRM settings. Let me show you some of these other apps here. Like if we hold down on this, like I said, we get the other options. Let's go ahead and load up Cool Reader here. Let me go ahead and show you the options here. So we have the same sort of menu in all of these. It just sort of overrides here, but we have some different selections you'll find. Like there'll be some different fonts, so you won't have that whole huge list like the other one. But we can go ahead and add some different fonts into there. We can also go ahead and do some different settings with this one. So if we go into the settings menu, it'll just be a completely different setup. We've got tons of different formatting options right here. I mean, that's one great thing about this device. With all the different reading apps installed, you got all these different CSS elements you can customize here with Cool Reader. You can customize virtually everything with Cool Reader. So if you are the kind of person that wants all kinds of different be able to set up your book exactly how you want. I mean, this definitely is one of the options. You can set up all your custom tap zones and everything. Tons and tons of settings in here, as you can see. So then the page buttons work in this app too. Okay, so with Cool Reader, we've got some other options in here. You can set line spacing, increase and decrease the line spacing. We've also got we've got the same sort of setup for the notes with the table of contents and everything. Again, I'm not going to mess with rotation because it kind of makes the device go crazy sometimes. We got the text-to-speech. Of course, you can adjust the brightness just on the fly in here. We can set different paging options. I guess this one only has a single page as well. I don't even know why that's an option, but so sometimes this device has like options that don't really make sense. So like here, I haven't talked about this yet. I should talk about it. The home screen. Anywhere you have this bar accessible, you have this little icon up here. This thing you can use to enable quality first or performance first. So it basically works with the ink screen on performance first, not to do refreshes a lot. So it goes kind of weird with the contrast, as you can see right here. But it makes things a lot faster, especially when you're like scrolling through stuff that has animation, or just like scrolling on the web browser. It makes stuff a lot easier for scrolling, just because it doesn't do the full refresh, but it makes the screen kind of look crazy, like as you can see, because it doesn't refresh very much. And so then it can obviously cause some issues. So you kind of got to toggle back and forth between turning this on and off. And then once it's on, and then you turn it off, and then it goes easy. So I don't know why they don't just have it on and off right there instead of having to select. I mean, it's just two modes, so it should just be on and off. But you have to actually select performance first to get it to go into the performance category, as you can see right here. But then things do load a lot faster, and it does make it a lot easier as far as like scrolling through documents and stuff like that. So it does come in handy at times. Then you got to turn it back off to see what you're doing, basically. So let's go ahead and load up one of these other apps. So eReader, it's got a ton of settings as well. So I mean, there's no shortage of reading apps with this device, that's for sure. It just sort of depends on type of books you're going to read. So let's go ahead and show you the settings menu on here. We've got some same sort of options. So it just sort of varies with each one. You've got the bold selection on this one too. and you've got some different fonts in here, so each one has their own setup as far as the formatting options go, and this one too has the spacing options. So the Onyx default reader app didn't have the spacing options, but these other two do have the spacing options. And like this one, you can set refresh 3579 pages as well. The Cool Reader app had some more options for that. It has like a whole section for e-ink refresh. We've also got the, maybe this one has the different paging options. No, it just has the one as well. So then its setting menu is for page margins, book encoding, dictionary. It doesn't have as many settings as like Cool Reader does with all the super technical formatting options. You can of course jump to pages just by doing that. Okay, so let's go back to the home screen here and talk about the last app. So the eReader app is also pre-installed, and it supports like FB2 and some different formats, and of course it's got its own sort of layout as well. You can use this dial to jump pages. I kind of like how the fonts looks on here with the settings enabled with the, you got the bold font of course on this one as well. Doesn't seem to be enabling. There we go. Got the different font types. So as you can see with the ink, the whole scrolling is kind of strange sometimes. Get lots of ghosting and after images. Haha, so this one has the 2-column setting. Although not, there we go. That's kind of a weird way to read. It's also got the spacing options. There's the directory for the annotations, table of contents. It also has TTS, so all these apps have text-to-speech enabled. Okay, so that's kind of been a quick look at some of the e-reading apps that come pre-installed in here as well. I'll do a different video for a PDF specifically because the PDF features will take quite a while to go over, so I'll do a different specific video for that. Let me go ahead and show you some of the other pre-installed apps that come with this device. So I installed a lot of these apps actually. Why is it not loading? Okay, there we go. So I wanted to test out a lot of these just to try some different stuff. So like the ADW launcher, if you wanted like a different home screen, I'm going to go ahead and experiment with this, see if I can get my Nook Touch launcher on here and everything. Same sort of setup, so it does take it a second to load here. Apparently it's not going to load. Okay, there we go. So if you wanted like a different traditional Android tablet type of setup, you can load a different launch on here. The key is finding one that uses a minimum of animations and to turn off the animations, and then it's not quite as annoying as you can see when you're transitioning to the app menu right there, but scrolling is still kind of annoying. It just depends on the app. I'm going to try to find an e-ink friendly option for setting up an ultra launch here, because the home screen here is kind of limiting. I really wish they'd add some more options, like if you could add apps to the home screen. There's only the way you can get to the apps, so the app menu. It would be kind of nice if you could add some additional selections right here. Let me go ahead and show you the web browser real quick. It does seem to work pretty well. Run a search here. So one thing I noticed with the browser is, like I said with the touchscreen, it doesn't always react, so you seems to have to push it twice. But a lot of times it has reacted, it just takes a second to load, so you just kind of got to be patient. Obviously e-ink and web browsers do take a little bit of patience. So it does work though, and we've got the scrolling can be kind of squirrely though because it's e-ink of course, but I mean it does work. This device has a 2-point multi-touch, so you can do the pinch zooming. I find that the pinch zooming doesn't really work that well with this device. Any app I use it with, it's always really jumps around a lot, and it's really just quite tricky, to be honest with you, as far as the pinch zooming goes. The double tap works a lot better. As you can see right there, taps it in, double tap zooms in and out. So if you just double tap, it does work better. And also, like I said, when you enable this performance first mode, it does make, obviously it makes scrolling quite a bit easier because it's not refreshing the page constantly. So when you're scrolling down a page, it does help a lot with that. But it does take some getting used to because, like I said, it kind of throws the contrast all off. So I mean, you got to get used to the toggling it on and off for reading basically. So like once you get your scroll set up, or like where you set up where you want it, then you basically just need to hit the button again to toggle it back off so that you get the full look there. Okay, so most of these apps I loaded in on here from going to the Play Store. Like I said, the device comes with the Play Store. You can install a bunch of apps. It just sort of depends on the individual app how well it's going to translate to ink, because obviously the apps aren't designed for ink. So like with the eBook apps, the transitions are a little bit sloppy because it doesn't have an option on a lot of the apps to turn off the animated page turn. So it just gets kind of sloppy sometimes. Let me go ahead and talk about, so it comes with the browser like I showed you just a second ago. It comes with a calculator, a calendar app, a clock app. We've also got basically like the downloads folder. It comes with that link for the download. So if you're downloading stuff, it can be kind of tricky to find it at first if you're not familiar with Android. And so the download folder helps to find your ebooks that you've downloaded. As you can see, all my ebooks downloaded right here. So one thing you'll notice with this device is when you download a book or you just add it to your device, it won't show up here on your home screen in your recently added, like when you have it set up for recently added. It won't show up there until you do a restart. It doesn't seem to be any other way I've found to get the books you download with a browser or you just put on your device to show up on the library without doing restart, because it seems to only scan for the books on boot up or like when it starts the device. So that's one way you find your books, of course. So I got Gmail loaded on here too. It comes with an email app. Seems to work. I have never noticed a notification yet, but that could just be me. I got Feedly loaded on here, comics, so I'll show you some reviews of these apps in a different video. The Comixology app, it does work pretty well. The Nook app, it does not work. It causes the device to crash and restart. But the Kobo app does work, Playbooks app works, and the Kindle app works. They could use some optimizing for, this device could use some optimizing for the way it refreshes pages, because any of these apps, so I will show you quickly one of these apps just how the refresh works, just to give you an idea of how it works with these third-party apps here, because they're not designed for e-ink screens. So let's just go ahead and show you how that works real quick, then I'll do the individual reviews for these apps in separate videos. But so basically all these apps do the same sort of thing when you get text on the screen here. So they're not designed for ink, so it has a sort of slide flash, because if you had a tablet it would slide the pages. Some apps like Aldeco, you can turn off the animated page turns, and so it just it refreshes like just the ink, so it doesn't do that sliding motion, and it's a lot less distracting. So some people do find that distracting. Sort of just, it depends on you. And like I said, you can use these buttons down here. The page buttons do not work on the side here for reading apps that you side load, but the bottom wheel here does for turning pages. So like I said, it just sort of depends if that bothers you a lot. But the main problem is it never refreshes the whole screen right here. It always just does the partial refresh, so you do get a lot more ghosting. The text isn't as clear. That's basically all the pre-installed apps that I've talked about. Most of this other stuff I've all loaded in here. Like I said, it just comes with the calculator, calendar, clock, the Play Store. You can load in all the apps you want. And of course those 4 reading apps that I talked about in the beginning. It's got the notifications bar up here. If you tap right here, will actually bring up the notifications menu down here. Like if you have notifications, you can swipe to close them right there, and you've also got the little settings menu accessible from right there as well. So it's just sort of a different take on an Android home screen. It's not like your typical Android home screen. You don't have the typical Android settings, but it does run Android 4.0.4, so it does have all the options of being able to install sideload apps, install these Android apps. I mean, that's just sort of a benefit of the Android operating system. This is like one of the first e-readers that officially lets you do that. So like other devices like the Kobo and the Nook Touch have to be hacked in order to get Android on them. Where this device, it comes with Android straight out of the box, and you're allowed to install apps. So it's a pretty cool setup. Like I said, my main problem with the device is just the touchscreen doesn't always work like it could, like it should. I often have to press things twice to get it to react. And it's kind of even more noticeable when you're using the keyboard. But it's not a total deal breaker for me, because I've had a lot of fun with this device, just installing all these different apps and having all this different functionality from an ebook reader. It's not something you usually get. You usually just have a few base features with e-ink readers because they're really basic. So I really do like the complexity of this one, all the advanced stuff, all the advanced features it offers, because I mean, it's just kind of a cool setup. It's definitely for more advanced users. If you're like new to e-ink e-readers, I mean, this probably isn't the device for you. You need to be familiar with Android a little bit, and you basically need to kind of know how to figure things out, work with settings. So I'm going to be posting like a tips and tricks video with some additional tips that you can get going, getting the most out of the device. And like I said, I'll be posting some video reviews comparing it with the Kindle Paperwhite and the Kobo Aura HD, which has the same size screen. And then I'll also be posting the individual reviews for some of these e-reader apps. So if you want to see those, check those out on my YouTube channel or on the ebookreader.com. So thank you for watching, and you have a good day.